Yes, I did donate. You know I donated. Don't say it.
For the study group?
Yes. What else was it for?
Status correction, maybe? Ooh, are you coming for me?
Yes, I'm coming for you.
Oh boy, don't do that.
I'm coming for you.
Don't do that.
I don't want to. It's your win always.
So don't.
Just so you guys know, I got no way. Sometimes I do this. The best lawyer. I mean, start that. Yeah, lay woman. I know.
Malik Kalam is perfect. He wins all the arguments because he's right all the time.
That's not true.
Oh yeah.
Malik Kalam.
Oh yeah. Hi, Miss F. I see you joined. All right, y'all. We're about to get started with class, like T-minus a few minutes. But I know like 10 more people are supposed to be on, so I want to give them their time.
Is now on hold.
See how you mute everybody?
All right, so we're gonna get started. Seconds, minutes, whatever. But I want to take this time to thank everybody for joining the study group. And if you want to shout out where you are on the phone, feel free.
Peace. I'm Chattel Bay representing DMV.
Okay, Islam. Anybody else?
Denise L. Bay representing New Jersey territory.
Okay, go ahead then. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Alvin Jackson. I'm in Ohio.
Hi, Alvin. How are you?
All right.
Anybody else? Don't feel any pressure to announce yourself, because when I first started getting on calls, I didn't announce myself at all. I just listened. So don't feel pressure, but if you want to say hi, we're friendly.
His brother Zoko. I'm out in New Jersey as well.
Hey, what's up,
You
Zoko?
already talked to him.
What's up?
You already talked. What's good, King?
Good.
You look like a king, too.
I want to ask right now that if you guys are not speaking and you have background noise, please mute your phone. If you have questions, I want to say write them down and wait to the end, but, you know, interrupt me when you feel it's right, I guess. Obviously, it's never right to interrupt me, so don't ever do it. Interrupt me, so don't feel free. Where are people? Okay, anybody else want to announce themselves, where they're from?
Carol Superville, representing Reading, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Miss Carol, how are you?
Safia Superville, Albany, New York.
Okay, New York. I've seen a few of y'all commenting before. That's cool. That's what's up. So we got people from everywhere. Feel free if you guys want to like exchange information with anybody who's like maybe close to you or nearby. Like, feel free to do that, because you know you never know what buddies you might meet that are near you that could help. So it is 7:45, and I want to go ahead and get started with this group. So if y'all are ready to begin, then we will. So the information that I'm going to provide to y'all, I personally feel like it's for good and lawful mores. It's not something that's just broadcasted all over the world. It's not on the news. It's not on the media. Nothing that you've been taught as far as like regular teaching. This information has been it's been looked at by a few attorneys and officers. They won't speak on this information, of course, but it has been verified as accurate. So don't take this as any legal advice. I'm not your attorney. I'm not a tax expert. This is for educational and informational purposes only. Do with this information what you please. Just don't blame me. So there's a lot of Moors who got out here that have just been sleeping. And I just want to teach this information because we need to wake up as people. We do not need to be sitting up here just complaining, going back to, oh, well, how we got in it. Okay, that's the past. Like, we could move forward. So, I mean, like, I don't want to harp on, well, what got us here and how do we get in? No, let's move forward because we're obviously already here. This is difficult times, and we just want to overcome this situation. You know, there's a lot going on out here in this media, so we just want to kind of get this information out here so y'all can free yourselves. There's enough information for you guys to free yourselves. So when going through any information or studying this stuff, please do not go past words that you don't understand. And when I say you don't understand, I mean like the legal definition of those words. That's even like the common, most simplest words. You want to understand them in their legal term. So keep in mind that what's legal, it's not always lawful. Now, commercial law, understand that that's not Allah's law. Those are two separate things. So when you find a word that you're not 100% clear about, don't continue. Don't continue studying. Don't go past the word. Don't assume that you know the definition. Even if you think you do, still look it up. Still look it up. Because the world that we live in, it goes by how law defines words. Not how you define words, not how your friends define words. It's based off of the legal and lawful definition of words. Now, you'll be amazed at the difference between some of these words. Like you've all been taught that elopement is when a man or a woman or both of them, they run off and they marry without the approval of their family. But according to a dictionary of law, elopement is actually the act in which a wife voluntarily leaves her husband to be with another man. Now, that's per a dictionary of law. Now, Bouvier's Law Dictionary says that it's used to denote the departure of a married woman from her husband and dwelling with the adulterer. I always thought elopement was something that, you know what I mean, other people, you just run off and you run away. Not you're running away specifically to go be with somebody like that. You just never take a word for granted until you look it up. So some keywords in maximum law that I want to go over. I'm just going to start by just a few keywords, just words that I think that you guys should know, beginner words. So when I speak, I'm speaking and teaching from a perspective of like beginners. So if you already know this stuff, great. You're ahead of the game. Take note because it's always good to go back and get a refresher course. If you don't know, good. That's something that you should know. Learn it, read it, figure it out. So the first keyword that I'm going to go over, if you got the class outline, then these are going to be some keywords that are in the outline. So the first keyword that I want to go over is commerce. Now, commerce is obviously a Latin term. Anybody want to chime in on what they think commerce means or what they believe commerce to mean? Y'all can unmute yourselves and speak when necessary. What you think commerce means, or what, like, to your understanding, what commerce means? In the simplest understanding of the word, it's an exchange of goods, really. But with the advancement, the way that society is moving, it's really just the exchange and the commodities. It becomes commodities, mediums of exchange, and that becomes a commodity. Once that becomes a commodity, it enters into commerce. So commerce is a Latin term. Pretty much in modern day English, every exchange and interchange between people, it's commerce. That includes your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, your death certificate. That's not an exhaustive list, so that's just a few things that it's commerce. It's considered commerce. Even when it comes to intellectual property, that's legally a part of commerce. Now, a universal maximum of law states that contract makes law. So when you think of that, contract makes law. That's even a simple contract as far as, do you accept money orders? If they say yeah, boom, that's a simple contract. So the world that we live in, you want to remember three main things. All law is contract. That's number one. All law is contract. All law is contract. Number two, every interchange between people is contract. Again, let me say that again. Every interchange between people is contract. Thing number three, all commerce is contract. I'm going to say that again. All commerce is contract. So the interchange of ideas and marriage and birth, all of that, that's commerce. All of it is commerce. Contract, commerce is synonymous, like what and what. Another key word, chattel. I know y'all kind of, I think somebody was on the call yesterday, said something about Tosh. I know if y'all listen to any of his teachings, y'all know about chattel and chattel property and things like that. That's French. That really just means good. It's property, like items, tangible or intangible, personal property, things like that. So when it comes to chattel, you have two kind of separate forms. You have the personal, chattel personal, which is items that are movable. So like your movable personal property, like a cow, maybe when you were back in the day, or right now your car. Your car is considered chattel personal. It's not permanently connected with your real estate, so I can come take it. Anybody can come and take it. Another form of chattel is chattel mortgage. So everybody's familiar with mortgage. That kind of says what it is in itself, but that's personal. So it's not included in things that are movable, but it's like something more. So when it comes to chattel mortgage, they can't, you feel me? That's something that it's a mortgage or it's against your personal or movable property. And chattel does include, again, your personal movable property, like something like, I don't know, a servant. Servants move. So does that kind of, if you qualify or if you could be possibly a servant, you would qualify as maybe chattel person or just chattel period. So that kind of places people under the law as just merchandise. That makes you merchandise, being chattel. There's also commercial chattel property, and that includes servants by contract through operation of the UCC codes. Well, UCC period. So that kind of, if you kind of think about that, that kind of explains how if you're made into chattel property and then you sign contracts through your birth certificate, through your social security card, that's how your property, somebody owns you, somebody being them, they, whoever you may think them or they is to be. Another key word is the word law. Now, I know that word sounds pretty simple, but that's actually Latin. It comes from the root word of lay. A law is something that's laid, set, or fixed. It's like a statute. Now, particularly an established or permanent rule prescribed by the supreme powers of state, it's subject for regulating their actions. Now, mostly they're social actions. But some laws are imperative and mandatory. It kind of commands what needs to be done, what will be done, what can't be done, just kind of giving you permission and things of that matter. It gives you kind of the right to do stuff, saying you can do this and you won't get a penalty, or you can do this and you will get a penalty. It's kind of the system of rules that you're able to trade with commercial intercourse and regulated merchants. So you're able to, like, through this, the word law, like, they're able to set certain things as mandatory and not mandatory. Let me see. The word law and lawful, they kind of, you feel me, you hear it, kind of means the same, or you at least you think it does. But lawful means it's the right and actful substance. So did you have the right to do that, per se? Legal is like the atheist of equitable. It's equivalent to constructive, So just in accordance with the law of the land, and according to just the law that's been permitted or sanctioned or justified by law, lawful, it properly implies a thing conformable to or just enjoyed by law. Now, legal is something different. It's a thing in the form of or after the manner of law. So it kind of binds law. A writ or warrant that's issued from any court under the color of law, it's a legal process, but that doesn't always mean it's a lawful process, because legal and lawful are different. So the word legal is also a Latin word. So a good majority of some of these key words are going to be Latin, but that's because most words do come from Latin. So legal is kind of pertaining to the understanding or the administration process and the practice of law. From the legal profession, legal advice or like legal blanks or legal papers, it's implied or imputed in the law. But it's opposed to the actual word lawful. So legal looks more to the letter and lawful is more to the spirit. Legal is appropriate for positive rules of law, like lawful, for accord with like ethical principles. Now, legal imports rather forms of law that are observed, but the proceeding is correct in method. Is just the rules that have prescribed that are prescribed. They have to be obeyed when it comes to legal and lawful. It's separate things. So another word that I want to go over is UCC, which obviously we all know that means Uniform Commercial Code. Now, what are the UCCs, or what is it, or what have y'all heard about it? Oh, audio is distorted. Okay.
What codes that govern commerce?
Okay, yeah, commercial laws. Go ahead. Anybody else? What your understanding of the UCC is, or was, or whatever you think it is?
It's the laws, universal laws that most countries got to follow in order to do business.
Exactly. Yes. So the UCC is really it's a comprehensive set of business laws that they agreed upon. It's universally agreed upon throughout the world.
Interstate commerce.
Got something you want to add? Oh, you're adding over there? Okay. When they came up with the idea of the UCCs, it was to make the rules of commercial transaction, such as like the sale of goods. They wanted to make those rules universal. And I think that's what this brother was speaking on. He was saying that these are the business set of rules that everybody has to abide by. It's a codification of the law. If you don't know what the word codification means, look it up. They actually adopted the UCC codes like Some people adopted it completely, some people adopted it in parts, but it was really just the attempts of the state to make everybody's laws uniform. And they wanted to relate it to, of course, commercial transactions. Security interest in chattel is created by interest known as a security agreement. So if you want to give notice of the security interest, a financing statement must be recorded. It's got to be. I'm going to say that again. If you want to give notice of the security interest, a financing statement must be recorded. Got to be. Now, the UCC really is just a list of codes. Like I said, they apply through all commercial activity, and all states either adopted this completely or partially. They wanted to make everything uniform as far as the transactions and how they went about just regulating the people, really. So before you really actually get an understanding of some of the material that I'm presenting, you have to know what your legal status is. You have to. Can anybody tell me what their legal status is right now? And nobody better say black.
I'm foreign.
Foreign. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an answer.
Everything is in trust.
Okay. Well then, Islam. Anybody else? What's your status? If somebody come and ask y'all right now, what's your status? What you gonna say?
American national.
Okay. I'll take that.
Security party, American national.
Okay. Even just this something to throw out there. Holder in due course. That's a status. King is a status. Father is a status. Brother, mother, all those are statuses. So you got to be specific. But status is the condition of a person. It's the condition. It could also mean a state. But because it signifies the condition or the circumstance that somebody stands as far as your standing. Because when you have your correct status, you have correct standing. So status and standing are kind of synonymous. If you have the right status, then you have good standing. So obviously you'll be in a good situation. You'll have good conditions. I heard black people don't have such good conditions, but I don't know. Now, a corporation does not have status. It has no status as a citizen outside of the jurisdiction. Now, that's wherever it was created, there is no status. None. Nada. Like none. So, when it comes to the word status, I know the definition. I can tell it to you like the back of my hand, but I still want to look it up because different dictionaries say different things, but I always want to go with the legal definition. So, again, status is a Latin word, and it's the mode or condition of. So really, again, it's just a condition of a person or a thing through the eyes of the law. So whatever your status or standing is, it needs to be seen through the eyes of the law. So, like I said, with this information, you have to understand that your legal status is nothing more than your state, your standing, your condition that you have through the eyes of the law, whether it be the state, federal, or international. Now, of course, this is not agreed with the status. It's not the same as the status of you before your Lord of God as a free sovereign. That's different. You have to get that understanding through the eyes of the law. Now, you can tell them, I'm a sovereign through God and this and that, and that's cool. No, they can't even hear you because you're black. So you got to get the status corrected on file, on record with them first. They got to see it. You got to have them see your status through their eyes first. Then when you come in there talking about I'm a Lord God, sovereign, this and that, then they're like, oh, okay, you know what? You might be right. We saw some paperwork on you.
Big facts.
You feel me? So it has to be on file. Has to be. Now, You can go around screaming it without it being on file at school. It just might cause a little bit more commotion. So understand that the world that we live in, it does not really pay attention to the Christian statutes or how the Lord God, Allah, whoever like sees you. They're not really paying attention to that. You have to remember that the state views your status in their law or by their legalities. So for a little bit, you got to set aside who you are as far as in Christ and Jesus and God and all this, just to kind of understand how the law is kind of purported and how it just works in this world, in the reality that you live in. So in the reality, the current legal status of most people in the world is, well, shit, I hate to tell it to you, but it's commercial chattel property. Your property. You're nothing more than a slave, as a matter of fact, and you're an indentured servant. And the lifetime value of your labor and your work, all of that is considered a commercial asset, and it's actually considered legal property. Now, according to those laws, all those legalities that are set in place, I mean, you got to think, like, if your property or you're an indentured servant, a slave, and you got all this land or you got all these so-called assets, I mean, who actually owns your property? If you're a slave and you know slaves can't own nothing, who owns your property? So according to the UCC codes, you don't hold no sovereign status. They hold the sovereign status. They hold it. They have it because you cannot, as a slave, you cannot own anything. You can't. They hold the title to all of your property. That's including your labor. All of it. So if you want to gain the status as a legal sovereign, let me say that again. If you want to gain the status of a legal sovereign, you have to use their laws. You have to. You have to use their laws. You just have to. You have to put it in a form that they can understand. They created something that they can understand, so you put it to where they can understand. It'll be easier. Now, all these procedures are within their own commercial law. That allows anyone that attains it to recognize it. And they will recognize your freedom and sovereignty once you've presented it through their commercial laws. Now, I know that kind of sounds crazy, and you know, and you and all the stuff you possess is nothing more than property, and it's all about the legal status and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, you got to understand, there's not really a place for Christ and God and this and all that in commercial law. When it comes to commercial law, there's no place for that. Another name for commercial law is actually called merchant law. So has anybody ever heard of any other terms, any other names that the UCCs have been called? I heard them called commercial law. I've heard merchant law. Anybody else heard of any other names?
Contract law.
Okay, Mr. Malik.
Admiralty and maritime.
Okay. So, there's select merchants of the world, right? And they're called world power brokers. So they control the exchange of money and all of the barters in commerce. So with that, if you think about it, they're world power brokers. Think about that name, world power brokers. World power brokers. Like they pretty much base this system on standards of nothing, literally nothing more than just basic interactions between people, really. So what they did was they actually codified this into man's law. So the simple interactions that happen through me and you on like day-to-day basis, whether you're going grocery shopping and they say, do you want a receipt? And you say no. Okay, cool. Like the basic interactions, they kind of made it to where we're going to make these codes, and we're going to codify interactions of people, and they're not even going to know. Like you don't even think about when somebody asks you, do you want your receipt? You don't think twice. You're like, no, thank you. But right there, they just created a simple contract and you abandoned property. Bills of Exchange Act. You just abandoned your property. Why would you do that? You're supposed to get your money back for that. Why would you do that?
Original issue.
You're the original issue, so you need to get your money back. But you just told them, nah, I don't want my money back. As soon as you said no thank you to the receipt, you said you don't want your money back. They said, oh, okay, well, thank you for abandoning this property. We'll claim it, no problem. So when it comes to like legal issues or remedies or disputes, it pretty much deals with one or more of these standard principles. All exchange between people, meaning me, you, your mama, your daddy, your great-great-great-grandma, is all considered commerce. All of it is all commerce. From you buying a car, barter and trade. Can I borrow this? Can I borrow this? Yeah. Thank you. Boom. That's commerce.
So that's another form of contract called bartering and trading.
Yep. Yep.
And they put lines on us. That's what they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm getting from that message.
Okay. Okay. The few people that are operating and controlling this system, they actually have gained what I like to call virtual unlimited control. They gained it of this world.
Say that again.
Virtual unlimited control. These world power brokers have gained virtual unlimited control of this world. How?
All right, it's a question. So, sorry to get off topic. So, do you think it's wrong or right to get rid of borders?
Do I think it's wrong or right to get rid of borders?
Because I'm getting from your message that they set up contract and trading for borders. These are invisible borders so they can control our trading and commerce. That's what I'm getting. Did you know?
I mean, well, I don't do my thoughts on borders. I don't feel like they're necessary because if we are supposed to be we the people free to go and come and do what we please, why is there a border? Why is there something that's allegedly stopping me or halting me or asking my permission or if I'm supposed to be free?
So if you get this from me, you're saying if it's just between me and you, there don't need to be a tax.
No, if it's between a person to person, why is this third party coming in saying, hey, you have to tax him because we're going to charge you? To me, that makes prices go up.
But don't you believe there should be some type of regulation in barter and trading, or you think it should just be among the people?
I think it should be among the people. People
No
can handle. People can handle that. I personally feel like all the people that are claiming to be sovereigns and American nationals and this, that, and the third. I feel like you can regulate your own affairs because that's what when you're coming into this knowledge, you're saying I'm competent enough to regulate my own affairs. And if you're competent enough to regulate your own affairs, then trade and barter is included in that, right?
You need schooling. You still need schooling.
Oh, I mean, well, people, you know. I say, sometimes you got to bump your head and figure it out. Did our ancestors have schooling?
I'm sure they did.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. So really, like I said, these world power brokers gain virtual unlimited control of this world. Now these ideas and reforms kind of help them make legal codes. So through this process, what they've done is they've actually confused our people, and they've confounded our people into keeping them ignorant of the law. And not only ignorant of the law, but how to actually use the law or how to even apply it properly. And that's so deep within our people. Just ignorance of the law. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. They put that in their rules. So that applies to them too. Now, the term legalese. Has anybody ever heard of that term, legalese?
Yes, I have.
What do you understand?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Yes, I have. Legalese, that's what they use in court.
Okay. Cool. So we do have a few people that understand that term. That's great. That's great. Like I said, I'm about to go over everything as far as like beginners, because I don't know how far y'all are on y'all journey or not. But the term legalese, when it comes to mind, is the average man's attempt to try to decipher these codes. It's a language that you don't really understand or you don't really comprehend. That's why when you go to court, they have that attorney or that lawyer, and they say, "Oh, this is what it says right here," and you just sign right here, and you look at it and you're like, "Damn, this ain't can say that. How come I don't understand that?" Because it's a different language. It's not something that you were taught. It's not something for you to comprehend. That's actually what makes the contract void if you do sign it, because you didn't even know what you were signing. You didn't understand it. You had somebody translate it for you, and they could have translated and told you it says, "You're $1 million man going to the moon." Fine right here. And shit, their definition of moon is prison.
One question. I thought a contract was only like between two people. Agreement between two people.
When you yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so here's my definition. We all have our own definitions, but with etymology, I follow the certain etymology books. So when you break down contract, it tells the truth on itself. Con means what? You already know what con means. Tract means treaty. So it's fraud out the gate. A legal contract, it's a treaty that's based upon fraud. So this is why they get away with it, because they always tell the truth. Like when they say they're agents, gent means gentleman, a means not. So they're not gentlemen. They tell you, just like fed ro. Fed means you just ate, means heir, al means got a contract. So they're feeding you an heir that they're God, because who can own the earth, who can own the land, who can own the water, who can own the air, who can own the spirit. But right now we're on the airwaves, but if we said the wrong things, they would come shut us down. Fine us, do whatever. So they play God's on earth, and they have been given the keys. And some of the thoughts that was coming to my head is,
Well, that's what I was taught.
Speaking is, if you learn what true law is what governs you, what governs your body and makes up you and governs your sacred space, your sacred realm. And some of the great masters that they so-called Jesus, I believe there was a man, and they end up relabeling him Jesus, they said his aura was up to 2 miles squared, 2-mile radius. So that's the energy that you send out and attract. We're all cells. There's 50 trillion cells within you being governed by energy, if you believe in atoms and vibrations. So with that being said, there's a true law that governs your cells, that make up you and your inner spirit that's within you. You know what gravity is, but you don't know, you can't feel it, you can't touch it, you can't bring it with you. That's a true law. Gravity is true law. What goes up must come down. That's a true law. But ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you walk up off a building and you are not aware of the law of gravity, you know what's going to occur. So what governs earth? That's true law. That's organic law. That's why it's called common law. And I hope this makes sense to a lot of people. So once you start understanding this, you can get away from the codes and statutes. You need to understand God first, then go back. Everything is yin and yang. One is light, one is dark. One's not greater than the other. You know, one's not. You got to respect them both. You have to respect them both, because we live in a realm of duality. Just like we got masculine and feminine. You know, if you speak the Spanish language, your language is more balanced, well balanced, because the English language is more searching out a feminine energy, because it's more masculine. So when you use the English language and the way they use it, because we don't speak in thou shalt not, so it continues to change, everything is programmed by design. When you're spelling out letters, if you're writing arithmetic, all that is sacred geometry, curved lines and dots. And once you start learning how to create your own sigils and your own rituals in life, you'll start attracting abundance. I'm not trying to get away from the topic, but you have to understand the true divine order of things. If you believe in light and dark and start looking at terms of this, you'll understand that the sun is a conscious entity. If we come from the earth, then the earth is a conscious entity, because we need the earth to feed us. The earth needs the sun to feed it. It needs the moon to feed it, and a lot of different things. That if it wasn't in that divine order, then we would be out of whack. So this is the true law of things, is just understanding who you are and why you came into existence. This is why the Moors give praises to their ancestors. Because what was their life purpose? They were light beings as well. What was they here for? It doesn't matter what you was taught in school. We're always looking for answers. It just so happened that we chose these benefits, and our parents, by no fault of their own, we cannot blame them, ended up putting us in the public education system. Because we thought we fell from royalty, because all of us came from royalty if we over here in the United States. This is where they threw us. This is our prison. This is where they threw all the royal people. If you're living over here, you come from royalty. I promise you. This is where everybody comes. Why is everybody trying to get to the United States? Ain't nobody trying to rush to Beijing some motherfucker. Everybody is dying. People will die and risk their lives. Go to prison 5, 6 times. It's crossing the border to get to the United States. It's your birthright. All these laws are designed for you, but they trick you into signing your rights up, claiming you're white and black, you don't have a correct status, and then they steal your birthrights that's set up for you. This is why they set up shop over here. Everybody is a foreign agent. This is how they can operate, because they're operating
the cream of the crop.
Entity. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, really? I mean, hey, you can have a whole separate classes, baby.
No, I just got that got deep though with me.
Yeah, contracts. That's another, like, that's why when you're coming into this information, like, that's literally, y'all just saw Exhibit A of how it is when you come into this information. All that got started off a simple question of a contract. Like, and we went over 7 to, like, it's that deep. But to get back on topic, so pretty much like the day and age that we live in, the world operates through commerce. It's all world commerce operates within the principles of the UCCs. Like I said, it was drafted and conceived by the world power brokers. Their mission and their goal was really to exploit the common man, to pretty much subdue him. It actually made the common man of God. He turned him into nothing but a servant, like, or a slave, a merchants and masters. So with all this codification and laws, it kind of seems like they kind of achieved the unbreakable code of bondage. I mean, it seems that way when you kind of get into this information. You know, it's like, damn, you can just keep following. You never stop following. But they have actually based merchant law on the same standard of interactions common to all men. So that's actually the same underlying principles can be used by the average person to benefit and change your status to that of a sovereign, to make yourself a sovereign. So, I mean, a better way to put this is to say that pretty much they left a back door open, right? So if the back door is open, how wide is the door? And if it's wide enough for you to get in, well, let's get in while we can fit in. So a few basic commercial laws I want to go over. There's 10 of them actually. So 10 basic foundation of commercial laws. From these principles, it's where all law and commerce in the world kind of came from. So rule number 1, well, kind of the foundation number 1, principle number 1, whatever you want to call it, the first one. A workman is always worthy of his hire. A workman is always worthy of his hire. Now, this is the most universal law of mankind. Like, it's got to be. Anybody want to tell me what they think that means? A workman is always worthy of his hire. What's that mean to y'all?
Pay me my money when I'm finished working.
Okay. Oh, look, and you worth it.
I need mine.
Pay me, because I came here to work. I did the job, and I was worthy enough for y'all to hire me. I did the work, so let me get paid. Simple as that.
And that's every day. Paid
Every
day.
single day. That's why I said that's got to be the most universal law ever. A workman is always worthy for his hire. Gotta be. Every society on earth that has denied this maximum law, it suffered. It suffered destruction by the masses. If you will not pay people that work for you after you've hired them, best believe somebody's gonna come. They coming to get their bread. You feel me? Whether they gotta take it out your check, off your, wherever they gotta get it from. It's coming. It's coming. They got you. You're always worthy for hire.
If people would, I believe if people would look at this stuff like you're looking at it, making jokes about it, they'll look at it. They'll discover.
Figure it out easier.
Yeah, discover a lot different. When I was stressed out because one of my first debts I ever offset was child support. You know, all for the wrong reasons. I'm not gonna lie to you. But when at first it wasn't working. Like I done got rid of so much debt, but the child support was not working. And then when it finally went through, it was because I had my intentions. I was taking care of my kids. I was looking at everything differently now. So that's when stuff started going through too. So negativity can block your prosperity. Facts.
Number 2. All men are considered equal under the law. I'm going to say it again. All men are considered equal under the law. Now, obviously, this is not practiced everywhere. But the truth of this standard, it's caused so many great empires to fall. It's destroyed kings and monarchs and shit, presidents. You know what I mean? It's just, you got to understand, everybody is created equal. They're supposed to be considered equal under the law. Number 3, all interchange, the truth is sovereign, and it's the supreme rule. The truth is sovereign. So, Mr. Malik Columbus, you got to say the truth never...
the truth never changes. Anything else is falsehood.
Okay. So, that's kind of a quick little way to sum it up.
My cousin gave that to me. He's a grand sheep.
In all interchange, truth is sovereign. Not only is it sovereign, it's the supreme rule. It's the supreme rule. So in commerce, in the royal, in the supreme rule, it's the truth. It's truth, nothing else. Now, truth can only be expressed in the form of a legal affidavit.
That's deep.
That is number 4. Truth can only be expressed in the form of a legal affidavit. Can only be expressed. It's the only way.
And what I learned is all you have to do is just put affidavit of truth at the top. I don't care if it's a letter. I don't care what it is. They have to accept it. Sign it and date it. You don't even have to get it notarized. Sign it and date it and put a code on there.
A legal affidavit is undisputed truth unless a counterclaim or rebuttal has been made. So that's number 5. A legal affidavit is undisputed truth unless a counterclaim or rebuttal has been made. So since an affidavit is sworn and pledged by faith, it is presumed to be absolute truth unless somebody else comes and they swear in and counterclaim a statement, and that's the rebuttal. That's the only way. But an undisputed affidavit of claim, it becomes final judgment. So, you guys know that?
Yeah, I'll say something. So, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. So, when I first started learning this stuff, there was me and a couple other Moors. We don't claim Moor-ish on our paperwork no more, but at this time we was. And we made up our own codes. We put on there Ku Klux Klan manual and then put our own codes on there. This is where we got this stuff from. And that stuff stood on the record as true. Like, case dismissed. We know who they work for.
Denise, number 5 was a legal affidavit is undisputed truth unless a counterclaim or rebuttal has been made. Okay, thank you, Carol. Thank you, Carol. Number 6, an undisputed affidavit of claim becomes final judgment. I'll repeat that again. An undisputed affidavit of claim becomes final judgment. So when somebody fails to answer or refute an affidavit of claim made against you, then the affidavit that's first presented is considered truth. It's considered truth. If somebody presents an affidavit against you, you better be the first person to rebut it. By not rebutting,
goes into default.
Yeah. If you don't rebut that claim, I mean, that kind of makes you guilty by silence.
Even if it's sent by a corporation and it doesn't have a signature, to them that's still considered a form of an affidavit. It has an electronic signature. And this stuff is important, man. This stuff is really important. When you're sending off these documents to these corporations, always make sure you include affidavits giving them orders.
Be demanding.
And when they default, that's when you send your proof of claim certificate of non-response. Send a certificate of non-response. Then you can start going to the higher-ups. This is exactly what they do. There's a remedy. You have to try to follow the remedies first before you go to the higher-ups. So the higher-ups won't hear you because you didn't try to complete the administrative remedy first. This is what she means by you have to follow their rules first. Just because you try to follow their rules, listen, I don't understand. You can put it, hey, fill out everything and put, look, I don't understand or I don't agree to this. I'm doing it because I feel like I'm not going to get heard. Regardless, I'm going to appeal it.
Yes, first and last, we agree. Exhaust all the administrative remedies first. Put them in dishonor. Make sure that you can prove, you can clearly show they dishonored this. How? Because you sent it on this date, this many days later they didn't respond, so they agreed to whatever you said. Boom, that's proof.
Here's how I learned. Because when I first started this stuff, I'm in the federal courtroom. If I don't learn this stuff, they're going to stroke me. I'm about to get some time. So I had to learn it. So at first they're not hearing me out. So what do I have to do to make them hear me out? So a lot of people put natural person. If you put natural person in the district courts, they're not going to hear you out. Do not use that person word. That's considered still a corporation. That's under 28 U.S.C. 3002.
Man.
You can look that up. So don't use natural person. I had to discover a new word. So I discovered a new word that I didn't find anywhere. That was living soul. My status, I updated to a living soul at that point in time because I didn't understand the
white living
They were stroking me. I knew I didn't want to be Moorish. I was even scared of using that flag. I just knew. So, but when I learned living soul, they couldn't dispute that. They couldn't dispute I was living soul. I got some of their officials to say on the record that I'm a flesh-breathing being. They can't try flesh-breathing being. Or yeah, like Say says, it's sitting being.
The living trust, would that be like the same? Setting up living trust?
You want to say you're the administrator of living trust, but really it's a trust meaning it is. So if you get that on the record, but they're still not going to understand. A lot of them are not going to understand now. I was just lucky enough to have a district judge that wasn't with the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like I hit him enough in the private with affidavits that I knew he was cool, but he still did his job. But he was a leading judge that would lead me towards the correct answers. That's just how it was. Like because I was in there for counterfeiting the obligations of the United States. I'm like, well, isn't it? Then you take an oath to uphold the Constitution. Da da da. He was like, let me know. Look, you're an enemy of the United States right now. I'm like, why is that? You're considered black on the record. You know what it says on the Constitution about you being black. So even if you bring that up, man, then I'm going to have to hold you in contempt. And then I called for an Edward James hearing. They called me to the back, and he was just answering certain questions. But if you don't ask the right questions, they're not going to respond correctly. So that's when I knew that I really had to get in tune with my ancestors and Allah. I don't want to creep nobody out, man, but during my life, when I used to have trouble, I used to pray to that white man. So I make sure my kids don't believe in Santa Claus, none of that shit. Because I don't want them praying to somebody that they don't even look like them. You understand? So I said, man, let me just pray to Noble Drew Ali. He was handing down this knowledge. Let me just pray to him. I don't want to. I'm by myself. I don't know what else to do. And knowledge started coming. So this is when I started meditating and talking to my ancestors. When I talk to Malcolm X, I get language. I start to learn. I can see through. The first word I learned was courage. Courage is coursing your rage. And then I saw love. If you read it backwards, like our ancestors, love is to evolve. A true revolutionary is to re-evolve. To continue to re-evolve. And we're all about, like, we are supposed to change. The truth never changes. It's there for you. But we're here to change and learn how to, because they're going to continue to find new ways to strip away your rights. They're going to continue to find new ways to misguide you, but the sun's still there, the moon is still there. You can still see it right now. So get in tune with nature. Just walk outside sometimes. Talk to yourself sometimes. Look in the mirror and tell yourself every day that you're a positive force in this universe. Because you said the sky was blue enough times that you believed it. So if you say your greatness enough times, you'll believe it. They got you to look towards being a doctor so you won't know that you're a king or you came from royalty, that you got birthrights up there, that you're worth multi-millions. Because whatever you're focused on, where attention goes, power flows. So you need to be focused on what you are, man, and know that it's coming. But don't worry about not having it. Be happy with your present moment right now. And that's how you let go of that resistance. It's really spiritual training, because it starts in the spirit realm first. Everything starts with a thought first, and then we bring it into existence. What me and Davina Bay do is we write our goals down. We focus on our goals and just certain things. And just go with the flow. The stuff happens. We don't even worry about it. Like, we was just living our life one day.
Okay, we're not giving up.
My bad. I'm just saying, like,
No.
My bad.
Go ahead. I want to hear.
No, I'm just like we set a goal. Like me and Davina set a goal one week for $75,000, man. All right, we set a goal in a certain time frame of $75,000, and we got $25,000 in a matter of days. You know what I'm saying? A matter of days towards that goal. Like, it was crazy how quick it manifested because she was just new to this. She just came out the slave plantation. So it was just crazy how quick our goals manifested because my goals never came that quick by myself. So undisputed affidavits. When you write this stuff down, you understand it. Don't just copy and paste stuff. Do your own affidavits because it's your spoken word. And demand means assertion of a legal right. You can demand whatever it is that's yours, especially once you start doing your investigation and knowing what is yours and what is not. And just make sure you send the affidavit with all these forms. If you send something to the IRS, send the affidavit. Like, hey, man, I don't know what I'm doing. You're the tax expert. Send the affidavit. They have to do it. They're public servants. They work for the public. Go ahead, Davina. My apologies.
So yeah, by not rebutting anything that's been claimed, you become guilty due to your silence. Acquiescence. There we go. Number 7. All matters must be expressed in order to be resolved. Let me say that again. All matters must be expressed in order to be resolved. So what that really means is no claim can be made against anybody unless an affidavit has been presented. And that affidavit must take the reasons and the laws supporting the claim with the events of the interchange. So you got to tell me, look, how does this law support this how they violate it? Just how they do you when they come in and say, hey, you violated code 7422 and put your hands behind your back.
And check this out. And remember this. So anytime you're making a claim, always remember that a corporation cannot hurt you, and a corporation cannot hurt a corporation. So you're going to have to go after a person in their individual capacity.
Always in their individual capacity. Number 8, that actually leads to number 8. So number 8 is the party who leaves a dispute first, they lose by default. So a corporation, they don't even get to come in, they can't speak, so they lose by default. Let me say it again, the party who leaves a dispute first loses by default. So if you walk away from a claim or dispute in commerce, either by silence or default or failure to even respond, boom, instantly you lost, just like that. Game over. Number 9, one must be damaged in some way to make claim or charge against another. One must be damaged in some way to make a claim or charge against another. So that kind of goes back to what Malik was saying, how you have the right to face your accuser. So somebody's got to be damaged. They got to be damaged in some way, and you have the right to face them. So damages in commerce, they're always equitable. It's the loss of equity. Now that must be shown. You have to show how you lost some type of equity in order to make a claim. All things have commercial value, so remember that. When making your claim, everything has commercial value, including your intellectual property. Now number 10 is a claim or lien can be satisfied only by award of a counter affidavit. That's resolution by a jury or payment in satisfaction. A lien or claim can be satisfied only by award of a counter affidavit, resolution by a jury, or payment in satisfaction. So a commercial claim must be resolved by a rebuttal, or a jury, or the relief to the claim by as far as payments for those damages. So, I mean, what we're specifically dealing with is how the laws of commerce are actually used against us as common people. And who's actually even behind it. So much of it that's been written and documented concerning the bankruptcy of the United States, I mean, all of that stuff has been documented. The United States is under bankrupt, so I mean, you can't. How you gonna tell me I owe you money when you owe them? I don't owe you. I can't owe you. I can't even pay you in whatever you're specifically asking for because that's against y'all's rules too.
Right.
And there is no money.
Exactly. That's even more. There is no money. So they don't say money. They put a little symbol, and they've trained you to understand the symbol, so they don't have to directly say anything. Signs and symbols.
Their money is legal money. But they law says bills must be paid lawful money.
Yeah,
it's lawful money out of circulation.
It's basically a bond note, and that's evidence of a debt that they're going to pay you later. So they're letting you know, like, hey, this is a bond. That proves right there that the United States is a corporation.
Right.
They work everything on promissory notes anyway.
Yeah, they handed out notes.
It's just a note.
Yeah, IOU. So the more notes you have, that's the more debt you have. That's why in
we never been paid real money. We don't know what real true money is.
Right. Listen, in the stock world, that's why. Really, in the corporate world, you don't even record cash.
Security.
You never put cash on the books. That's going to show a negative balance. And when you understand bookkeeping, you got cash.
You got to ledger it out. Zero it out.
That's lies.
So some of these world power brokers, we don't know them all by name, right? But that really does not matter. It doesn't matter by their name because we know that the fact remains that the corporate United States and Washington, D.C., they're bankrupt. Now, they have declared this in the federal codes, and the world power brokers are actually the creditors. So they've declared that they're bankrupt. They know they're bankrupt. Do you know that they're bankrupt? Because they put it out there as public information for you to know. And the supreme affiant, or the one who's ultimately behind an affidavit of claim, that's known as the real party of interest. And that's another key word for some of the people who got my outline. Real party of interest. A real party of interest, they're entitled under applicable and substantive law to enforce the right to sue or be sued, and also to enforce a claim. So that's the person. If you're behind an affidavit of claim, you're going to be known in law as the real party of interest. Now, like I said, the real party of interest is the actual person. The real party of interest you can consider them as kind of world power brokers. They're places
true
like
creditors. True creditors.
True credit.
True creditors. There you go. Now, in every commercial claim, there's an unrevealed claimant. Now, the real party of interest behind the U.S. bankruptcy or the government, they are unknown to the common man. So everybody doesn't know about the world power brokers, and everybody doesn't know that the world's under bankruptcy, and everybody don't know about all that. But what's important is the method that they use to collect their claims against you. That's what's important. That's what we need to be focused on. How they collect their claims against you. Now, a real party in interest is a front for the real party of interest. So, kind of in layman terms, a straw man is the collector for the liener, and it collects claims on behalf of the creditor. So certain representatives and agents, including the administrators and trustees, they're considered real parties in interest. So a real party in interest can be like the state of Georgia or any United States agency. Their duty or their job is to collect the debts for the real party of interest. So you want to know that they're there to collect debts because they're under bankruptcy. So they need some type of compensation from you. The origin of the UCC codes it's a supreme law. It's actually the supreme law of the world. That's what this brother was saying. It's everybody in the world uses this. It's a supreme law. Other nations and states, they actually mirror their laws and codes upon the principles of the UCCs. The United Nations actually bases their codes and rules on the UCCs. So there's no major world power that really hasn't codified the standards of the UCCs and kind of put them into their national laws. So you've got to realize that the new common law of Earth, where we at, it's commercial law or merchant law.
The simplest way I can try to break it down is for people who, because when I talk about trust, it seems like people get lost or scared. They're scared of trust. They got trust issues. But just a corporation. So you got to think about United States as a business. As soon as you're born, you get a Social Security number and a birth certificate. Now you work for their business. Everything you do is for the benefit of their business when you're operating in commerce. The people who learn this game early get out the United States corporation, they quit that job, and they start their own job and do the same thing the United States corporation did. They set up a trust and appoint board members. They create a corporation. Now they got employees. It's really that simple. Once you create your own trust and start to understand how to generate income for it, it's going to take hold of itself because it's like a spell. Spelling is spell casting. A true bond in commerce is one with your higher power or higher self. A lot of people don't understand that. A bond is evidence of a debt. The only person you owe is God. Why are you breathing? What is your life purpose? That's the point of knowing thyself. Everything is patterns and habits. Sunday through Monday is a pattern or habit. Sunday through Saturday, that's a habit. Mondays, months, years, these are all patterns and habits. There's no end to the insanity. You have to understand who you are. That's all I want to say with that.
So while he's saying that, a true bond in trust is a bond with your higher power, that's true. That's so true. But we know that God's law, Allah's law, it can't be erased. It cannot be erased. However, it's slowly being replaced by the legal common commercial codes. So they're trying to replace God's law with commercial law. And we cannot allow this. So this is it's really come about just due to just us being comfortable and ignorant, really, And that's why this information is so important. Interstate commerce and individual movement, it actually dramatically increased in the U.S. after about 1865. These world power brokers, they wanted more uniformity for their law. Now, that approach is known by the common name as uniform state laws. So each state kind of took some of these commercial laws and you know, tweaked them a little bit, and they're like, all right, well, these are going to be state laws. These are our uniform state laws. And that was kind of adopted by all the states that were federalized. It was adopted, and they used it. All federalized states, that's what they used. Now, the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Laws, otherwise known as the NCUSL, they were actually formed in 1892. Now, I bet y'all can guess, you know, who recommended them? Bar Association. Now, the Bar Association, that's your lawyers, your attorneys. They recommended that the National Conference of Commission on Uniform State Laws, that committee, they recommended that committee be formed. The American Bar Association. What did I say? Bar Association? I mean, is that what they are? No, they're separate. Okay, you're right. But, yeah, British Credit Registry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the American Bar Association. So they kind of promoted the uniformity in the state laws. That's for all subjects that they kind of deemed desirable and practicable, something that they could easily kind of you know, understand. Now, the American Bar Association lawyers, they're chosen by the federal states. There's this conference that they have, and it actually oversees the preparation of proposed laws. And now, some of these states, good actually majority of these states, they're encouraged to adopt these laws. So notice they don't really force you to get a job. They just say, well, you might need to pay your bills and take care of your family. So you don't have to get a job, but you know, that's where we're giving our money. Anybody, as far as like right now, does anybody have any comments, questions as far as what we've gone over so far?
Yeah, I wanted to find out if you ever heard of the word cargo.
Yes, I've heard of cargo.
That was a good word.
Yeah, that's a very good word.
That's another use that they use as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've definitely heard of that. Anybody else have anything that they want to like add? I want to take a break and kind of let y'all chime in, ask questions, kind of notes, whatever it is y'all need to know. I want to take time for that. No? Anybody?
Moving right along.
Okay, yeah, moving right along. So really, this process has been carried out for over a century.
Like, non-taxpayer.
What about the non-taxpayer?
No, I had a question over here. I just unmuted myself and it just happened to pop in.
Oh, okay.
What was the question, though? What was the question? My uncle had a question he was asking.
Someone telling me that the tax laws are in favor of business owners, not employees. The tax laws.
Yeah, he had a question about, well, he was saying
I can speak on that. I can speak on that. Of course, we already know that the so-called corporate leaders create the codes and statutes, The IRS is under a private trust, you know, and I'm not a tax expert, but under my investigations and research, yes. So we'll go to like the regular average middle class so-called citizen. They're in a higher tax bracket than so-called Obama was, or even Hillary Clinton. But they're still in a pretty high tax bracket. They were still getting taxed too. Now, the reason why Donald Trump is different is because he's an investor. He's operating in trust, and they do investments. So there's pretty much, when you gift and operate under nonprofit and trust, there's pretty much a zero tax liability for you. Because your status is up there. You're not operating with a social. You're operating under trust laws. You're operating under different foreign and trust laws. These things are set up for your benefit as far as trust, or even create developments for that's going to prosper the United States corporation. If like Donald Trump created housing, they didn't have to pay taxes because they're developing the United States corporation in the land and helping out with that. So yes, there's different. If you're an employee, you get taxed at a higher bracket than you would as a business owner. Then, as a small business owner, you're going to get taxed more than you would if you was just doing investments, or if you was developing something for the community and operating within a trust. I hope that answers your question and it makes sense.
Well, I had told him you can always change your nationality and I guess be a non-tax filer, right?
Yeah, and that's how the Arabs come over here and do that. They come over here. They're foreign. They believe they're foreign, you know? You are already foreign to the United States corporation. You just got to believe it first.
Right, and you got to get your right stuff in order, like the 98 number, and your EIN numbers, right?
Yeah, but that's not necessarily. You can also set up a trust, irrevocable trust.
Okay.
You don't have to get a 98 number, but yes, I would operate with an EIN just for their benefit, just to prove. You don't have to utilize it with banking. You can still be on private banking.
So the irrevocable trust is the one that's not taxed, right?
Yes, it's not taxed. Right. The same way with an unincorporated business trust.
Okay.
And you can set up a trust and just have your, if you want to look good on the public side and make it active on the public side, I would get like an LLC, so you're taxed under a lower bracket, even if they try to come at you. But you have the trust hold the actual LLC, or actually have it operating as the benefit for the trust.
Could you just make, like you said, I heard you say before, just make your name into an LLC?
Yes, that's how my name is, yes. And Davina has her name like that as well.
So, look, I set up an estate yesterday, an estate EIN. And I was going to try to, because I figure I need these EINs, the estate EIN, or like set my name up as an LLC or a banker's EIN. I didn't know which one to do next.
So when it comes to getting out the system completely, you're going to need 3 different EINs.
Okay.
You're going to want to set up your private bank. You're going to want to have your estate established as well. And then the Patrick Devine method is a nonprofit organization.
Oh, okay.
That's how you move stuff around. And he also advises the foreign 98 number.
Okay. Foreign,
I don't. With my foreign 98 number, I just don't interact with any of the public with it. I keep it private. I do not use it for any commerce out here.
So I just got the EIN number yesterday for an estate under my name. Like, should I just start using that number from now on?
Yeah, you can, because everything falls into your estate. Yes.
So look, now I got a scenario that I want to throw out, maybe to help other people. My driver's license is suspended. I have no driver's license. By me getting the EIN number, is there any way that I can, like if I get pulled over or something, could I get a copy of the EIN number?
I would use a national ID, or you can just go get your regular license, get a non-driver's license if you're carrying that around.
No, I don't carry no ID actually right now.
That's the best bet. Well, where's your license? I don't carry one. I am who I say I am.
Right. You offer the ID
too. You use a passport if you know how to use it right.
Yeah, that's what Davina Bay keeps on her, other than her national ID. She keeps her passport on her. You can even get a real citizen's passport for $30. That stuff works. And if you ever get in trouble, all you got to do is call them. They'll get you out.
World Citizen's Passport?
Yeah, it's $30. Look it up. The World Passport.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been in existence since like the 70s or the 80s.
Okay. You offered the car though, didn't you? Or you?
Yeah,
recommended?
I have a car. We need to revamp them though. A lot of them were damaged.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're working with somebody right now. But you are who you say you are, man. Even status correction paperwork that I utilize, I've used that as identification. It's all about knowing what to say and not contracting with them, really. So that's why I do your homework. With everything going on right now, I definitely would. Soon as if something happened, I would call the police. On the police, I would call everybody. District courts. I would call the marshals. I would get all the numbers on standby where I'm at. That's why I'm doing my best to get to these cities and build a foundation. So as soon as one of our people get pulled over, 20 of us can show up. That's how it needs to be. Because that's how the nation used to get people out of jail all the time. Malcolm X days. They would show up and protest right outside the jail.
More likely, you shouldn't try this unless you got to establish of at least, like you said, 20 people that will be coming to your beckon immediately. Otherwise, don't try it.
Right.
If you ain't studied up well enough, you know?
Right. Other than that, I advise people compliance. Listen, kiss their ass. Tell them, listen, I'm only doing this because you have a gun, whatever. Peaceful compliance. Soon as if they try to take you in, do not get booked in. It's against my religion. I'm not going to allow you to take my picture. I'm not signing nothing. I am who I say I am. My mom calls me son. My children call me father. I do not utilize the social. I don't rock with the United States Corporation. They let me out one time. They asked me for a social. I said I don't have one. I was adopted. Parents
and
never
don't
told
sign
me.
none of their contracts. They'll force you. Don't sign none of it.
Let me go. They said if we get a report on you within 12 hours, we're going to come back and arrest you. Exactly what they told me.
They don't like when you don't sign their documents because they can't tie you to nothing.
Right. We didn't insurance. We didn't insurance. We didn't insurance. They didn't
force you to take fingerprints. As long as they've ever held me is 3 hours.
Right. If they force you to take fingerprints, all you got to do is remember this. The federal FBI controls that program. If they went against the grain and did that, you could sue the FBI and watch what happened for that.
Listen, when I first sued them in an official capacity, when I learned about individual capacities, that's when they started leaving me alone. I started getting things done with it however I wanted it.
It's all part of my legal notice and demand. If you're taking my fingerprints, you're taking my personal property.
You're taking my lineage. You're taking my
DNA. That's your ancestors in that.
That's right.
That's your life. That's how you give life.
That's a violation. That's a straight violation. And you ain't giving consent? That's force. They forced you.
Look,
under coercion, arrest.
150 million if you violate that. So go ahead if you want to and take my finger.
Fee shuttle.
Hey, Goddess, who's this speaking? May I ask your name, Goddess?
Safia.
Safia. So if I was to come to your house right now and take your DNA, what you gonna do to me? You don't know me.
My legal notice and demand on my fee schedule, and plus my peace flag is right on my door. No solicitors.
Okay. Well, I know one of these kings on here. They ain't gonna be so peaceful if I try to take their DNA. So that's the same way. Like this is how we gotta be with these, whatever you wanna call them, man. No, I don't consent. Listen, I tell them I'm a bluff before anything. I wish you would try to take my spit. And that's how I talk to them. Like we allow them to video record us. We allow them to take our pictures, and they're doing it based on our consent. We're signing our lives away. We're signing our rights away, and they're doing their job because they're public servants.
Just out of curiosity, Don, have they ever approached you, Alphabet Boys or anything like that?
Of course. I learned this through the federal system. I got my freedom through the federal system. It was for counterfeiting obligations in the United States. That's when I started learning this stuff. The Moors got a hold of me through the federal system. I've been studying law since I was 17. I've been finding loopholes in the codes and statutes since I was 17. But I never thought to look at the United States Constitution until I came across the Moors. I never thought that, I never knew why I did $56 worth of damage to a car. Why did I go to prison for that? I never knew why. I never knew they changed me from white to black. Because I was born, my status was white. And my life was great in school. I'm going to tell you, I had
That's
white
the first thing they do is look at you when they come in contact with you. They have you under crayons. They look at you as that. That's why you got to put them in their place right away.
My mom.
And it slows them down. It slows them down like, oh.
My grandma, she just passed last month. She was aware of this white and black status, so she always told my mom to put white on her paperwork. Okay? My dad is considered black. But my dad always told us we was black. So I guess one day, so when they put black on my paperwork with the police, I didn't realize I was supposed to change that shit. And that's when my whole life changed. When I was labeled black at 17, they charged me as an adult for $56 worth of damage to a car and gave me 7 years in the Missouri Department of Corrections. I kept going on the run because I'm 17. So I turned that 7 into like a 12-year sentence. In and out. And in the process of almost ending that sentence, I caught a federal case, and you know, counterfeit money is a slap on the wrist, but since I already had that case, they use your background against you. They gave me time. That's the only reason why I went to federal prison. They tried to give me 36 months. I got 12 months.
You ain't got to worry about counterfeit money no more.
Oh, no, it's already fake. Listen, so that was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I'm looking at the codes and statutes because I told you. I understood the codes and statutes. But I understand they're infinite, too. There's so many. They can make up whatever they want. All they got to do is pick one. So,
I got one for you. No offense to Africans that travel abroad that come to America. One thing most Africans are told when they come over here, foreigners, they tell them right out the gate, you are considered white. Don't put anything else besides white on that application.
Yet, the Africans
you know why
mad.
they do that?
You know why they do that?
You know why they do that?
Why is that?
The purpose of doing that is to make sure they don't get classified with the indigenous people that are here that are trapped in this matrix. And tell them, do not get involved with them and don't be telling them nothing, because if not, I'm going to deport you back ASAP. And don't think I ain't watching.
That's it.
That's why they get so much access to economical stuff out here. There's no offense to my African brethren, but there's a lot of them that come over here and they reap the benefits. And they understand that they are told certain things that they don't not to share with the ones that are from here.
I used to work directly with an African. He owned some car rental.
Lose those privileges.
Some car rental companies, and I was asking him about this stuff when I first came into it. He's like, "No, you do what the federal government tells you. That's their water, that's their land." This is when he was breaking down the sovereign stuff to me. He was like, "No, you do what they say. They own the land." But what I was saying when I first started waking up, when I was in the federal system, is when I read the codes and statutes for counterfeiting money. It's basically copyright infringement.
You really wasn't counterfeiting.
Money was not real. It was owned by an entity.
They counterfeiting it all day long. So you ain't really counterfeiting it.
If you're a bank, it's legal though.
I know. But that's what everybody really is. You are a bank. You got to figure it out and come to that realization.
But you ain't a bank if it's not on their paperwork and you can't express it or prove it.
Yeah, that's what they don't want you to know, how to do the paperwork. That's why they don't teach you this. That's why they don't teach you this. They keep you dumbed down.
Well, I used to not believe this stuff at first. When I first moved to St. Louis because of the feds, I started witnessing my first murders, all that stuff. Was scared to death. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. But everybody's like, "Look, bro, you cool. Your paperwork good. You ain't got no beef with nobody. You good." So really, the hood took me in, and that's when I realized who God was for real, for real. Because I don't see so-called lighter hue people jumping over cars and dunking basketballs in the hoops. I don't see
I only see melanated people doing things I consider miracles. You hear me? I've never seen the so-called Caucasians in my life. They stress over debt. So I've seen a melanated brother make $50,000 in one night. Like, to me, that's a miracle. So that's when I really started believing the truth and really wanted to know where I came from for real. A lot of stuff started making
sense. And you started going to the law library too.
Yeah, I've been in the law library since I was 17. But now I had to learn spiritual law too. I had to learn where they got the Constitution from. Why they keep putting God in this?
Yeah.
Why they keep saying organic Constitution? Why they keep talking about the land? How does the Constitution come from the land? It took me about almost a year to figure that out. How to correlate common law, universal law with the courtroom. I was already getting out of court and winning cases, and I did not fully understand common law and universal law. All I understood was that affidavits do not file motions that's asking the court to move. I just understood little basic concepts. And I used to fight with them too. I didn't know about the tax issue. I didn't know about the securities exchange. I didn't know about any of that. I was just fighting them through paperwork. I didn't know anytime they offer a contract, you can get money back from them. That's a good thing.
Right. I got warrants right now for traffic.
That's good, man. That's good.
Right. It's good when you know what to do with it.
Yeah, that's good.
Now,
that's
everybody on this call.
Right there, you hear me? 1099 OID.
All right, let's go on to that. What do I need to do to do a 1099 OID?
First, I would just send them a letter of rogatory.
Letter of rogatory, see?
Attach that W-9 with it.
Letter of rogatory.
And attach
I want to share something with everybody on this line that I experienced coming through this journey.
W-9.
Understanding this, what we all talking on right now, is that if you ever want to find out the real truth and see it for what it is, fact for fact, on face value, there's a place called the law library that I already just said it. And when you go into that law library, and it's free at the county. Now all counties they have the law library. But when you go in there and you heard about UCC and you start walking around, you see these books sitting up in these shelves, you be like, wow, these books really exist. So that tells you that this stuff ain't no joke. And you see, statutories at large, case laws, other people that had issues similar to what you might be going through, that won cases. Right there, that trumps cards a lot in courts. Most people don't realize that. You could find other case laws that's similar to what you're going through, and you could put that in front of the judge, but just don't have one. Have more than just one. And they got to treat you fair under the law. Everybody has to be treated fair and equal under the law. If not, then they know they're doing fraud. They're already doing fraud. They hope you don't figure it out.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to touch on.
That's why it's good sometimes that when we do these processes that we do it on the public record, so that way there's case law for the ones that's coming behind us.
Right. But I want you to know, if you say certain things, they will put your stuff under seal, though. A lot of my stuff is under seal. So you already know they do change the record too. So when you file sui juris, no matter what, in the public forum, they're going to still put pro se. If you put an affidavit, sometimes they still put that you filed a motion.
If I ended up, they'd probably be mad at me because I tell them I'm non-belligerent, non-combatant. You need to take that war flag down, and this is the equity court. So you don't have the standing to even deal with me.
Hey, she's cold.
So, Kalam.
Yeah.
All right. We didn't get the whole thing. So you say you
so listen, that's what you send to the clerk first.
Letter of rogatory and the W-9.
Then you send that to the IRS with the 1099 OID.
Okay.
You can send it to district courts if you want to send another. Once you get a judgment on the case, You can file your own affidavit and demand to release the funds.
Through an affidavit?
Yeah, you send an affidavit and demand the courts to release the funds to you. Because every time the court is in it, because it's trust, there's always an award. There's always something that's awarded to the plaintiff or the defendant, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so you release that reward to you. Happy holidays.
Okay.
This is Michael Jackson's song.
Turn it down
That
just a
is
little more.
perfect for the constitution that you're thinking with what has happened.
Peace. Can anybody hear me?
In the middle of the demonstration.
So, I mean...
In this area. Like one more time.
Peace. This is Imhotep. I had a question. What about the, I know you talked about it earlier, receipts. Do you send a 1099 OID for receipts? If you keep all your receipts, how would you get your money back?
I must took a hiatus for one couple of minutes. I'll be right back, probably.
Oh, okay.
So I gotta ask.
Okay.
Or just, make yourself well known that you're in here, and is anybody still around or what?
Got silent on us.
Don Kalon. Savina Bay. Are you still in the building?
Islam family, we're here.
They had that mask
one that had a question.
What
had
was
the gas
I
mask.
didn't think we could hear somebody's something was playing in the background. I heard some Michael Jackson going on.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to. I'm sorry, I was trying to get it to turn down a little bit. I'm sorry. Yeah, my question was, as far as receipts, do you send them a 1099 OID to claim your receipts back?
To claim your receipts back, I just keep all my receipts for their records. You're supposed to keep them for up to 3 years. So if they want to do an audit, then you have those, you have that evidence. So I don't even. Sometimes I organize them, sometimes I don't. But the receipts are for them. If they want to do an audit, and you said that you had a receipt for $400.22, then you better have that receipt in that bucket saying it was for $400.22 if they come and do an audit.
Oh,
so the receipts are really for them, but you're supposed to keep them for up to 3 years, just in case they do want to do an audit.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, I don't send them any receipts. I just keep them for my records.
I thought an audit was a good thing to do, maybe starting off now. Maybe it's a good thing for them to audit you.
I mean, I personally don't want nobody in my business. To me, an audit is somebody getting up in my business about my spending habits and this and that. I don't need nobody else in my business, so I wouldn't want nobody to audit me.
It might be a good thing. They might say you owe.
Yeah.
You keep good records.
Yeah, if you keep good records, then the audit isn't a bad thing if you're not super organized.
Like zero out your account.
Yeah. If you're not completely organized, I wouldn't want them to audit you. But if you're completely organized, you got all your receipts and everything on file, then go ahead. Don't be scared. Yeah, we want them to audit us because I like for people to make sure that my organization skills are on point. Yeah, if they want to audit, that's fine, but you know, that's not what my goal is. I don't want to have that because I don't like nobody up in my business. I like to mind the business that pays me.
I got a question that's off topic.
Go ahead.
What's all needed to purchase a foreclosed home with the 1066?
I just use my signature, and I wouldn't say I purchased anything.
Or, you know, to acquire.
Yeah, I just use my signature. Like I said, I go according to their rules. I get everything their way, and then I go back and say, hey, by the way, I know this was fraud, so this is the new contract. Here you go. Like, do everything their way, and then come back with your stuff. Like, boom. And they can't, they won't rebut it. So they can't, but they won't. So you win. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. So any last questions? Anybody want to maybe trade information or say something about what they've been doing lately?
Yeah,
or what
I like to do that. I like to do it.
What can you tell us about the black card? I was thinking.
Oh, it's black. Nah, I can answer y'all's question about that. He went through the whole process. I'm still acquiring my black card. So he can tell y'all more about it. I personally haven't done it yet because I want to have a full understanding of everything before I just go and file paperwork and do stuff. So he can answer your question when it comes to that one.
What you want to know, man? Treasury direct.
TDA.
Trust. I got mine in trust. I guess they got personal stuff. That's how they still control you. The people are going to get in your business. You will have a so-called relationship manager, a.k.a. spy. They're going to come holler at you. They're going to talk to you. If you have anything to do with a credit card, there's definitely in spending habits start increasing. People are going to come talk to you. First, you'll see people following you. Do not be aware. Do not be alarmed. If you're not doing nothing bad, don't be scared. The reason why we get scared is because of our conscience. Everybody out here is doing some dirt. So don't worry about it. You ain't hurting nobody. So you see them following you, smile in the face, like 2 Chainz says, be fresh as hell while the feds are watching. Anybody that's in this circle, into this study, guaranteed your IP address or your phone, when you visited a certain website, whatever, YouTube video, whatever, was alerted to something called BOSS, Bureau of Secret Service. And if you feel like they feel like you can maintain your relationship in the private with whatever and not really be a big influence and still live your life, they'll contact you. They'll do their best to give you grants and loans or whatever. You really don't even need a credit score. To be honest, I've seen people get loans with a 480 credit score just because of some of the knowledge they knew because they've been following them. They'll always try to bring you to the fictitious world when you start waking up to keep it alive. Because this is feeding their families, not ours, okay? The corporate world is not feeding our families because our families don't have corporations set up in place that's going to feed generations. Your corporations are set up to feed generations. You're feeding their families. Listen, anytime I swipe this American Express card, it is not helping our people. Just going to be honest with you. Anytime
you already know.
You love debt. Corporations. But I feel like you can use it for leverage and continue to try to help and lead by example. You just make sure you don't sign your life away. If you start attracting these people and you're doing the right stuff, make sure you put all rights reserved. If they try to make you sign different, make sure that you see the agreements. Davina Bay will always reconstruct her contract and send them something else back. She takes the time to do that. I think we all should.
Without also when you need to.
Does your black card got a bottomless pit? Unlimited spending?
No, it's not bottomless, but I can do big purchases. I can do big purchases. I can do $1 million purchase, no problem.
And that's something you don't have to pay back.
No, you got to pay it back. Don't think that you don't. But it's all set up through trust, as beneficiary through a trust. When you start learning how trusts work and operate, I have trust set up in my kid's name, my name. We got Davina's name, but we're operating under express trust. Anytime it's express, that allows you to operate with it in the public with these corporations. A corporation might not necessarily want to interact with an unincorporated business trust because it's still falling under common law. The Constitution is considered an express trust, and that's what the United States Corporation is operating off of. And then you can, once you create your own trust, you can issue your own IDs. It's like your own tribe. So they took your spirituality and they converted it into a money game. It's all that happened. Think about it. So it's as above, so below. Everything's the opposite. Our ancestors used to get feathers, right? When they was chiefs. That means they acquired a bunch of knowledge. Well, the opposite of that is called deplume or diploma. That means they deplumed your feathers. They deprived you of your feathers. That's what diploma means. They put a square on top of your head and squared your knowledge and squared your thinking.
That's what they give to college kids.
So once you start accessing higher frequencies, I'm telling you, they're watching you. They was watching Tupac. If you know who Tupac is, they was watching him at like 14. They was watching Eazy-E at 18. Whether you think Eazy-E was conscious or not, he was in tune. Dr. Dre's a billionaire now, in tune. But when you can get to a point in your life where you're not scared, don't be hiding nothing, don't worry about it, accept your sins, whatever, that's true currency. Debt means death, so it is pulling from your currency. Learn them TDA forms. First learn with the certificate of identity in the form 1455.
Don Colon and Davina Bay. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I noticed when I watch a lot of your videos, right? I noticed that you need to step it up. Not in the sense of meaning like, you know, how you take your cameras and stuff. You should have a nice camera that watches you as you go instead of holding that long thing that hangs out. Because I know you're always trying to fix the camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware they got a system out that I'm going to send you a link that you should go check out? So whenever you do have a live feed or whatever, you could put your smartphone on top of it. It's like a miniature robot. And you program it, it'll follow you wherever you go, so you don't always got to constantly fix your smartphone to adjust it to where you at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel I need structure. I need to make time in my life. So
because you got the finance to get it. It don't cost a lot. So
I have no organization right now at all. So everything is just chaos.
You're gonna be all right. I want to see you with organization. That's why I'm sharing it with you. So you're gonna look out for the link to your phone.
I feel you.
Question.
I want to see you next time. In a minute, you sitting there and you got the thing sitting on top of your dresser, wherever you at, out in the world, and you got your smartphone sitting right on it. And as soon as you go from one area, it follows you there, and it captures all your moments in live or when you're not live and you want to download it to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you don't need to be having your hands occupied. You like to do what you do with your hands, you know, roll your trees and do all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for the house.
So I want to make it easier for both of y'all because I know you're advanced, man. I want to step it up for y'all.
Yeah,
so you can share with other people. And he's like, wow, that brother really shared something wonderful, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Does the certificate of identity form go along with the 1455?
Yes, all that goes together. That's part of the unlimited package that we offer, the Treasury Direct package. And you're going to want to get the medallion stamp. The notary stamp is not going to be good enough. No, the Treasury Direct does not accept notary stamps. I don't care if it's a letter. If you're sending them an affidavit or a letter, you want to get the bank signature medallion stamp on the letter.
Don Kalon.
Yes, sir.
maybe this will be a good one before the end, I guess. The process on getting in the car.
Okay.
What's the process on getting in the car?
Like I said, there's different processes, but
1099A, the 1099A process, is that the easy one?
The best way I like to do things, the easiest way, I feel, if you're just new to this beginning, the easiest way is to go in there, get you a car that you can get, and then send in. You're gonna send in a proof of claim letter with the attached W-9. And then you would send the 1099A and demand the MCO as well. And they'll send you the title or the MCO. If it's a used car, they're going to send you a title and a copy of the MCO because the MCO was destroyed. If it's a new car, they will send you the MCO. Now, the so-called place might ask you for the title. You know, a few people took it back because they were scared. You won't have to give them nothing. They sent it to you.
First, last, to answer your question, as far as the LLC in your birth state, or any state, that is completely up to you. I got mine in every state that I go to. Like I got mine in my birth state, and then I went to another state, and I got it in that state, and I just want it to be on file wherever I go. So that's preference, to be honest.
With the vehicle, can you mention that again? You said it's 1099A with the W-9 and what else?
Yeah, especially if you have a bill.
Like the window sticker.
The reason being you're sending this in is because you discovered a fraud. This is fraud. You didn't know that they was getting it from you, because anytime you have to pay them for something, there has to be a collateral involved, and they didn't put nothing up. The corporation don't put anything up. They're not going to lose nothing.
Right, because they give blocks of credit behind the scenes on you.
Mm-hmm.
And they have you sign off on a document.
You're giving them your credit so they can go get the car.
And they get a chunk of that credit, and they give you a little bit, and they take all yours.
Yeah, you give them the car, and now you're paying them rent money. Right. You own the car, you change ownership to the company, and now you have to pay them for renting the car.
Yeah.
And after 36 months, they file the 1099A on
it. Everything is paid off. They hope you don't know this and how to enforce it.
I always send a letter to the car company, but I also send it to the actual loan company and the CFO. It's always the chief financial officer. If they don't have the CFO, send it to the CEO. Once they get that tax forms, they're going to handle it. That's why I say attach the W-9. But always have a letter of instruction with it. If you have a bill, send the bill in with it too. That's the statement. It's really not a bill, it's a statement.
I like how Patrick Devine did his on his when he asked for $50,000, the car and the money.
I do letters of credit though. The way I do letters of credit, and I find the window sticker, I attach it with the window sticker, I send it to the CFO, and I send it to the IRS.
Okay.
If it goes through, they're gonna call you. Just make sure you put a number on there.
Brother Colum, I got a question about the trust.
All right.
So I got an irrevocable trust right now. Amor actually helped me set it up, but I didn't put it in my name. I just made a name up because I wasn't knowledgeable at that time. So with that being said, to do my declaration of status, would I do that first and then go for my 98 EIN and then change that into my name after my status goes through?
I mean, you can amend it and change the name. You can put an amendment on within the trust and change the name, if that's what you want to do. But if you want to get a 98 number, you can, or you can just do the irrevocable trust. It's still foreign. As long as it's in the trust, it's still foreign.
Okay, so it's still foreign. Okay. Cool.
For the Express Trust, did you do a 98 number?
No, I don't. When I do anything in the public, I do not express my 98 number with anybody. I keep that strictly in the private.
For banking purposes only, I take it.
Yes, just for banking purposes only. The only thing you might get in the public is the address.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys. It's a little bit past 9:30, so we are going to conclude this study group. However, before we conclude, be sure to go to divinenationals.net next month, and we can do this again.
You gonna do YouTube next month?
All right.
Okay.
See you all.
Peace and love, everybody. We will see y'all next month.
Thank you.
Peace. Thanks. Take care.
Well, I didn't really get too many questions off like I really wanted to.